Welcome once again to Commander by Danon. Today we continue our series building decks led by the new legendary creatures from Dominaria United. This series will probably continue for a while, at least until Unfinity spoiler season starts. Today's video is a rather unique one. Cutestuff and I couldn't agree on a theme for Jodah, the Unifier. She, of course, wanted to go with dragons. She is the dragon lady after all. But I wanted to go a different route. Before we get started, I'd like to quickly ask you to like and subscribe. I've been very happy with the growth this channel has had so far, and I'm excited to see where we're going. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. One of the tiers is specifically set up for Commander. For only $25, I will build you a custom Commander deck based around your specifications, and even do a deck video on it. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. Jodah the Unifier is a 5-mana 5/5 legendary human wizard. He gives each legendary creature we control +X/+X, where X is the number of legendary creatures we control. Additionally, whenever we cast a legendary spell from our hand, we exile cards from the top of our library until we exile a legendary non-land card with lesser mana value. We may cast that card without paying its mana cost, then put the rest of the cards on the bottom of our library in a random order. Cutestuff was very excited to build a legendary dragons deck, so I'll let her take over from here.
Hello, and welcome to Commander by Cutestuff. Danon learned his lesson last time, so here we are with Jodah, Dragon Lord deck. I love the idea of cheating cute, fluffy, and wonderful, big scary, dragons into play. Jodah will make all of our big dragons even bigger, but we'll want to make sure that we cast the higher mana value dragons first in order to cheat the lower mana value ones into play, which means we want a lot of ramp in this deck. Additionally, as my husband has learned over our 16 years of marriage, I'm not a cheap woman. This will not be a budget deck, but we don't have any reserve list cards, so don't worry about dropping hundreds of dollars on a single card. But before we get into the deck list, we should keep in mind our checklist. 50 mana sources, usually split between 37 lands and 13 pieces of ramp, but this deck will probably go higher. 10 pieces of card advantage, 8 to 10 pieces of spot removal, 2 to 3 board wipes, 2 pieces of graveyard hate, and 1 sudden I win card. Let's start with the lands and ramp. We're running Command Tower, all 10 fetches, all 10 triomes, all 10 shocks, 2 mountains, and 1 of each of the other basic lands. Now with all of those fetch lands, it makes sense to run cards like Ram It Up Excavator and Crucible of Worlds, each of which will pair with Dryad of the Elysian Grove and Wayward Swordtooth. I didn't forget about the wonderful Azusa Lost But Seeking. However, she's legendary, and the only legends I want in the 99 are dragons. Since almost all of our lands are typed, we're running 3 Visits, Farseek, and Sky Shroud Claim. Urza's Incubator to help bring down the cost of our dragons, Dockside Extortionist, and Smothering Tithe for mana ramp, Mirari's Wake for mana doubling, as well as Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Chromatic Lantern, and Dragon's Hoard as our mana rocks. We're running Heroic Intervention and Teferi's Protection to keep our creatures alive, as well as Dovin's Veto and Commit Memory for a light counter magic package. The memory side of Commit Memory also serves as our first piece of graveyard hate. For spot removal, we're running Despark, Abrade, Assassin's Trophy, Fracture, Return to Nature, as our second piece of graveyard hate, Generous Gift, Anguished Unmaking, and Beast Within. Our board wipes consist of Cyclonic Rift, Crux of Fate, Ruinous Ultimatum, and Farewell, which serves as our third piece of graveyard hate. To help dig through and find key cards, we're running Vampiric Tutor, Eladamari's Call, Demonic Tutor, and Savitri Dragon Master as tutors, along with Windfall, Rhystic Study, Growth Spiral, Eureka Moment, Siphon Mine, and Corlisa Scale Singer, who is both on theme and adorable. And now for our dragons. Remember, Jodah lets us cheat a legendary card with lower mana value into play. So I want to start with the high end of our mana curve. I'm running the Dragon, Piru the Volatile, Nicobolus, Old Gnawbone, Dracuseth Maw of Flames, Atarka World Renderer, Beladros Witherbloom, Klaus Unrivaled Ancient, Tiamat, Karthus Tyrant of Jund, Lathlis Dragon Queen, Miram Sentinel Worm, Dragon Lord Kolokan, Ganix Astral Hunter, Kologan the Storm's Fury, Thrakis the Butcher, Furkrag Cunning Instigator, Nicobolus the Ravager, and Renari Merchant of Marvels. Now there are a couple of dragons that aren't technically legendary in this deck, but they are still amazing. And they are Terror of the Peaks and Utvara Hellkite. Let's take a look at our deck and see how it compares to our checklist. 52 mana sources, split between 37 lands and 15 pieces of ramp, which I know is a little high, but we wanted that going into this deck. 10 pieces of card advantage, 10 pieces of spot removal, 4 board wipes, 3 pieces of graveyard hate, and 2 sudden I-win cards in Karthus, Tyrant of Jund, and Dragon Lord Kolokan. Giving all of our dragons haste can win us the game out of nowhere. So our deck checks all the boxes and is a blast to play. We have plenty of ramp to put out our big fluffy scary dragons into play, ways to keep them alive, lots of interactions so I can continue to dominate the game, and plenty of paths towards my victory. I know that Savitri isn't technically a dragon, but she fits the theme so nicely, don't you think? Do you use her to tutor for Tiamat so you can then tutor 5 other dragons? Or the Dragon so you can cast the dragons for cheaper? Or maybe you need the mana so you look for Cloud? I love this deck, and I hope you do as well. But my husband has different thoughts on how to build Jodah. They're not as good as mine, obviously, because nothing is better than dragons.
Thanks for the introduction, honey. Okay, I thought it would be more thematic to imagine Jodah as a betrayer rather than a unifier. What if, instead of gathering an army of heroes to defend the land against the Phyrexian menace, Jodah instead brings together all of the Praetors? This is my list, which I've titled Jodah the Betrayer. The list is a little more expensive than Cutestuff's list because of 2 cards. Let's get into the deck list and hopefully you can spot them. To start, the lands are basically the same as the other list. Command Tower, 10 fetches, 10 triomes, and 10 shocks. But this time I'm running 2 plains, 2 forests, and 1 of each of the other basics. We're also running Wayward Swordtooth and Dryad of the Elysian Grove to let us play more lands, as well as Crucible of Worlds and Ramanup Excavator to play lands from our graveyard. Dockside Extortionist and Smothering Tithe for treasure generation, Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Chromatic Lantern, and Timeless Lotus as mana rocks, Mirari's Wake for mana doubling, 3 Visits, Farseek, and Skyshroud Claim to fetch lands, Dark Ritual, Desperate Ritual, and Pyretic Ritual as rituals to help us cast our expensive Praetors. Our tutors consist of Vampiric Tutor, Eladamri's Call, Demonic Tutor, and Search for Glory. To draw through our deck, we're running Rhystic Study, Wheel of Fortune, Windfall, Growth Spiral, Eureka Moment, Maelstrom Nexus, and the Immortal Sun. For protection, we've got Lightning Greaves, Swiftfoot Boots, Heroic Intervention, and Teferi's Protection. For counter magic, we've got Negate, Dovin's Veto, and Commit Memory. For spot removal, we're running Swords to Plowshares, Abrade, Fracture, Assassin's Trophy, Disenchant, Return to Nature, Rip Apart, Despark, Beast Within, Generous Gift, and Anguished Unmaking. Our board wipes consist of Cyclonic Rift, Farewell, Ruinous Ultimatum, Blasphemous Act, and Vanquish the Horde. And now for the core of our deck. As I mentioned earlier, we're running all 9 of the currently printed legendary Praetors. Sheoldred the Apocalypse, Urabrask Heretic Praetor, Urabrask the Hidden, Vorinclex Monstrous Raider, Elish Norn Grand Cenobite, Jin Gataxius Progress Tyrant, Sheoldred Whispering One, Vorinclex Voice of Hunger, and Jin Gataxius Core Augur. I know that's not much of a core to build a deck around, but every one of these cards can be backbreaking. And with Jodah making them all bigger, we can quickly overwhelm our opponents with value. Let's take a look at our completed deck and compare it to our checklist. 56 mana sources, split between 38 lands and 18 pieces of ramp. I know that's pretty high, but 3 of our mana sources are just rituals, and we're trying to get to 10 mana to cast Jin Gataxius Core Augur as quickly as possible. 11 pieces of card advantage, 14 pieces of spot removal, 5 board wipes, 3 pieces of graveyard hate, no sudden I win cards, but that's okay. When we're getting a 2-for-1 discount on Praetors, we can overwhelm them in value. Yes, this deck is ridiculous. In a one-on-one match, Cutestuff's Dragon's deck would probably win simply because it has more threats. This version is more of a control deck. Because there are fewer Praetors, 9 compared to the 20 legendary dragons in Cutestuff's deck, we have more room for interaction and ramp, so I took advantage of that. I initially put in the 3 best Planeswalkers in Commander, Narset Parter of Veils, Teferi Time Raveler, and Ashiok Dreamrender, but I decided I wanted to only have Praetors. The only legendary card in the 99 other than the Praetors is the Immortal Sun, which I'm always happy to see. How are you building Jodah the Unifier? Leave a comment below. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cutestuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, there's a link to her Fiverr page below. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons, Jiraiya, Waffles, Muffins, Casey, Danny, Nick, Marcus, and Black Dragon. You guys are awesome. I post new Commander deck videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or you can click here to watch additional videos. Also, if you're a fan of anime and manga like I am, feel free to check out my other channel, Musings by Danon. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time on Commander by Danon.